Good afternoon, everyone. It is David Schlotthauer here in the home weather office with another detailed hurricane outlook and discussion for Monday, July the 17th, 2023. I'm glad you all are here joining me as we do talk about the tropics because there's going to be a huge uptick, I believe, in tropical activity in the Atlantic or in the main development region for the last week of July into early August before the real peak of the Atlantic hurricane season really gets underway by late August into September. So without further ado, let's take a look now at the current outlook on the tropics. This is from Dr. Levi Cowan, tropicaltidbits.com, providing these very detailed satellite images, including the visible and infrared satellite imagery that you're looking at. So looking at the tropics right now, we have a couple of areas to watch. Yes, we do. Not off the coast of Florida, fortunately, but we have Dawn up here. This is tropical depression Dawn, 35-mile-an-hour winds. But not only is it a tropical depression, but it was a tropical storm literally yesterday and the day before. But also, it is our fourth named storm since June the 1st. I mean, no doubt at all, folks. I mean, 4 named storms. Last year, we only had like 2 or 3 named storms, so we're ahead of schedule here as far as tropical activity. And one could even argue it could be our 5th named storm because our unnamed tropical wave or subtropical storm in January that kind of formed up here in the northwestern Atlantic. So one could say, is it Tropical Depression Dawn or is it our letter E storm, right? That's the thing. In my personal opinion, it could be our 5th named storm, just because of how organized that system was. But of course, I'm not the NHC. I cannot post name storms like that. But either way you put it, we have our 4th named storm, and this system is just going to kind of hang out around the Atlantic up here in the northern portion and not irritate anyone. However, what we don't see is a tropical wave coming off of Africa, and this might become a player. This might become a concern areas downstream, like the Leeward, Windward Islands, also for the Lesser Antilles, yeah, the Greater Antilles as well. Might need to watch this one, including for Florida eventually, and I'll show you here on the GFS model what I mean by that. But in the meantime, it is pretty quiet for right now, except we have Tropical Depression Dawn, and we have this Saharan air layer that is coming off of Africa with another Saharan air layer getting ready to come off of Africa, which is why some of the models don't indicate that the tropical wave off of Africa would do anything much. So now looking at the Central Pacific Basin, we have Tropical Storm Calvin, that is. This was a major hurricane a few days ago, and we can see it is moving in this general direction right towards Hawaii. Now, since it's weakening, it's down to 50-mile-an-hour winds right now, and there is no substantial threat to Hawaii. I probably won't be making updates every day on this just because, I mean, come on, it's becoming less organized. The swirl is becoming more naked. As you can see, not a lot of deep convection or thunderstorm activity, but nonetheless, there's going to be some strong winds, probably 35 to 40 miles an hour once it gets to the islands of Hawaii in the next couple of days. All right, but otherwise, looking pretty calm out there in the Central Pacific, including the Eastern Pacific, where we're not really watching any more development for the time being. So now, looking at the National Hurricane Center, let's switch gears here. We can see there is Dawn. When we click on Dawn here, we can see, yep, that's where it's going, right? It's going to go down, it's going to go west, then it's going to go northwest, and probably loop out something like this. Some of the models want this to do kind of like this and then kind of go down like that. Some of the, like the European model, wants this to go like this and then like that and then out. Pretty strange track, I'll tell you that right now. So Dawn might be a system we track for a while here, as it just kind of hangs out here in the central North Atlantic, roughly about 45 degrees west by about, say, 40 degrees north in latitude. So now, while we are seeing activity, let's take a look at the Pacific Basin also. Again, there's our area to watch. I mean, 10%, come on. It's not going to be really anything significant. But here is Calvin. 50-mile-an-hour winds, and yeah, there is tropical storm watches for that reasoning for the big island of Hawaii. Now, while not a whole lot of people, maybe several 100,000, I would say, live on the big island of Hawaii, the majority of the population are on these islands to the north. But nonetheless, we cannot stress enough that yes, this is going to get awfully close or on top of the big island of Hawaii, bringing some gusty winds, some moderate to heavy rainfall, thunderstorms, that sort of thing by the time we go into Wednesday. So in a couple of days there, it's going to be making arrival. But winds should be down to about 35 to 40 miles an hour. The continuation of a weakening system, it might weaken a little faster than what this actually shows, given just how naked the swirl is. We have dry air out there. So again, tropical storm watch has been issued for the time being for the big island of Hawaii. Let's look now at tropical storm Calvin. So now when we take a look now at the bigger picture of the Atlantic mainly, are we going to see another spike in activity? Some of you are probably asking me that, since I literally quote on that at the beginning of the video that there's going to be this period by late July into August. I've been predicting that for a while now, that I think we're going to have a spike in tropical activity. That still holds true today. When we look at the latest ECMWF ensemble prediction system, this is the control run ran by 51 members that run the European operational model. And so what you're looking at here is the timeline, okay? So not to be confusing here, these lines here, if you can see them, these are lines of the time. So this is July 19th, this is July 21st, July 23rd, July 25th, July 27th, July 29th, and August 1st is at the very bottom here. So each of these lines mean the time. But look at, this means longitudinally. So all these lines going down like this means your longitude. 180 degrees west, 180 degrees neutral, 120 degrees west, and 60 degrees west, that's the Atlantic. So what we're looking at here is this area boxed. So if we look at the bottom here, this is the tropical Atlantic. That is this area right here, roughly, that I boxed in red. That's the area that we're watching very closely for any upward motion with time, okay? So we now know for sure that there's going to be sinking motion. The air is moving downward, suppression, Saharan dust or SAL outbreaks, strong trade winds, unfavorable conditions, more shear, whatnot, and that's what we have going on, right? From technically the 19th through probably the 25th of July. But at the same time, we might start seeing some upward motion by the last week of July. So kind of the 27th and beyond, I do believe we have a lot of upward motion, a lot of thunderstorm convection, a lot of these convective coupled Kelvin waves moving eastward with time. We're going to have a lot of tropical waves coming off of Africa, and some of them could be the seedlings for what we might see as tropical depressions, storms, or hurricanes. The GFS specifically wants a major hurricane by early August. Yeah, by early August, major hurricane. Can you believe it? So we'll get into that in just a second. But all this upward motion has been well modeled so far on the Euro, and the GFS also indicates the same thing, which is quite alarming since we're not even at the peak of hurricane season yet. Remember, folks, mid-ish to late August into September. I'll prove you my point here in a little bit. What I mean by that, it's not usually until late August when we get into the thickness of things when it comes to the tropics. The ECMWF ensemble prediction system, this is over the next 46 days. This is the next 15 days. This is the next 46 days. So we can see our upward motion right there. Oh wait, hold on. Right here, well modeled on the ensemble. This is the ensemble. This is the average mean. This is not your control run at all. So what we're seeing here is, again, that upward motion. And look, it might stay around for a while, possibly through mid-August. Maybe an unfavorable period here, maybe by mid to late August. But remember, that's what typically happens by mid-August. Then this might be on its way eastward just in time for the peak of hurricane season, as it always does by late August into September. And I do believe we're going to have a big, busy season on our hands. Even so it's quiet now, it's going to probably be quiet in mid-August. But remember what all happened. It only took one named storm last year, and that was Ian, that did cause a lot of destruction. And we only ended up with 14 named storms. So just think about that for a while, that just because we're not going to be busy in August does not mean we're not going to be busy at all in September. We thought the whole wrong way. We had activity in October. So it could be delayed or it can come earlier than usual. That's just how it works in the tropics. So now, when we take a look at sea surface temperatures, this, my guys, is absolutely tremendously ironic for this time of the year in the Gulf of Mexico. Sea surface temperatures are absolutely warm to nearly historically warm. We have 31 Celsius of waters right off the coast of Louisiana, even covering the central portion of the Gulf. 31 Celsius waters over here. This is the 31 isotherm, 32 degree isotherm, and if you look closely, still 33 degrees right off the Miami coast, off of Key West, Florida. Absolutely warm. Mid-90s. Are you kidding me? Mid-90 sea surface temperatures. And what you are about to see on the GFS is really alarming because, yeah, the system may tap into these waters if that happens. And then 30 degrees widespread. Now remember, 26 degrees or lower is considered deemed unfavorable for tropical genesis, right? Not necessarily, not always, but usually it means that. 26.7 is the coldest the Gulf actually is on this plot, and that's over here off the coast of Texas, right over here off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, the coldest. Even up here is deemed very favorable, 29 Celsius off the panhandle of the coast of Florida, off the Alabama coast, off of Mobile. So just think about that. Just because you see these blue colors does not mean, ooh, it's cold. Oh my goodness. Temperatures are very cold. No, they are really warm. Widespread 80s to lower 90s in the Gulf of Mexico right now, which is pretty ironic if you ask me. So now, sea surface temperatures or these are the anomalies, I should say. Actually, let's do this one first, then go to the anomalies. So sea surface temperatures, these are the actual departures. There is your 33 Celsius waters right there over the Bahamas, over southern Florida. We got 31 Celsius waters. That's what we just looked at on this page right here. Okay, that's kind of showing you this too. Anything, I'm just going to kind of quote me out on this. Anything 26 degrees right in here that I have outlined. All of this water right here will support tropical storms, major hurricanes. Let's just point that out right now. 26 is the magic number. It's that unique number that we look for. And warmer, okay? You don't need 27. All you need is 26 Celsius waters, folks, to get major hurricanes. And the Gulf is always favorable for major hurricanes. Well, not always favorable thermodynamically, but the sea surface temperatures are year-round always favorable for tropical genesis. The Caribbean, even the southwestern Atlantic here, very warm. Water temperatures right now, 29 to 30 Celsius. Absolutely tremendous. Well above average for this time of the year. So what I'm telling you all is, if we get any tropical waves that kind of set up over here, and they move, say, over here, maybe do something like this. Well, look at, we have water temperatures more than 80 degrees. If tropical waves do this, right, they kind of go through the Caribbean and then they kind of go up like this into the Gulf. Very favorable in terms of ocean temperatures. If they go down the middle, these tropical waves, and they form right over here. Look at, warmer than 26 degrees. So I'm telling you, the Atlantic is ready to go right now. It's just like, okay, Sea surface temperatures are here. They are warmer than normal. They are extremely warm, 26 plus Celsius, 80 plus Fahrenheit. It's all about the atmosphere now becoming favorable. We're waiting for things to line up. And once they do, you will know it, because we're going to be tracking quite a few named storms, probably at least 2 or 3 at once, I believe, by the time we go into September. So looking at the sea surface temperature departures, this is why well above average sea surface temperatures, anywhere between 1 and 2 Celsius above normal. That's quite significant. That's 5 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than it should be for this time of the year. Look at the waters off of Africa here, off the Cabo Verde Islands. I mean, that is 3 Celsius, folks. 3 Celsius above normal water temperatures. That is pretty ironic, okay? And so when you get any tropical wave here, it might take off almost instantaneously. And even so, we don't have much of a look of the warm AMO. It is still extremely warm. You can see the horseshoe right here. This, my folks, is a season that could favor 20 plus named storms easily. We already have seen 4 named storms. That's dawn, let alone, I mean, come on. 4 named storms already. We have a long way to go. We have, gosh, we probably have another 15 named storms to go. If you kind of look at the University of Arizona, they're predicting, gosh, 25 named storms perhaps for this season, and that could be realized the way it looks right now. Gulf of Mexico, warmer than average, running 2 degrees Celsius above normal. So now, upper ocean heat content is also very concerning. I'm not going to do a comparison today because I do want to keep this video rather short. I hate making videos, folks, 35 minutes long or longer. I mean, that's too much time to take out of your guys' day to watch my videos. So that's why I make these videos shorter. So instead, we're going to just look at what we have going on right now. I already have showed you in the past that our upper ocean heat content out here is well ahead of normal. I mean, come on. Look at this. Like way, way to the north here in the central Atlantic, we're looking at upper ocean heat content. Typically, this is way further south, somewhere like way over here for this time of the year. So we are definitely, I mean, this is jet fuel, rocket fuel for tropical systems to use. And actually, Evan James, that I know, actually kind of made a post on that. This is all rocket fuel, jet fuel, or octane fuel for tropical systems for the season. So we can see here, look at this. I mean, my goodness. Red, orange, dark red colors. Yeah, there's some kind of pockets there that up to 150 plus on the total accumulated ocean heat content that we're seeing. And so, I mean, I'm telling you folks, I mean, while it's quiet now, it only takes one named storm. One named storm does it all. We saw it with Michael, we saw it with Harvey, Irma, Maria, Dorian. Okay, only one named storm is all it takes. Okay, you don't need 25 named storms to make a very busy season. You only need one named storm to make it considered a busy season. And my gosh, if we have any named storms or anything that tracks throughout this portion of the Caribbean into the Bahamas, you better hope. There's a lot of wind shear and there's a lot of dry air to prevent these tropical waves from forming, because if not, I'm telling you folks, it is not going to end well for populated areas because of how high that upper ocean heat content is. So now, the depth of the 80 degree Fahrenheit isotherm, very, very deep. Remember, 80 degrees or higher is what you need for major hurricanes. And wow, man living very deep through here in the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean, as well as the Bahamas. Again, not trying to use a hype card. I mean, I can just see it happening, folks, and I don't like to wish these things, but I mean, one named storm, one tropical wave that moves over this area could take off pretty quickly. So now, as far as, now we're going to switch gears again, and we're going to look at how we're looking at climatological standards. Are we above average? Are we below average? Or are we on par? The answer is we are still above, or we're still ahead of normal. I mean, we're right up here, and if we stay in this is about 0.5 standard deviation, by the way. So if we end up on this side of things, that would give us ACE points of over 150. That would give us at least more guaranteed, more than 14 named storms typically. So we're on par for at least 15 plus named storms for this season, I believe, possibly 20 named storms. And yeah, that's concerning. We're ranking 14 of this year. And I don't see, and yeah, look at 2020, something to point out. Actually, let me get rid of my face, folks, so you all can see this without being distracted. I just looked at this as you guys are looking at it, and look at this. Look where we're at. 2023, let's see, 2021, that was a couple of years ago. That gave us a very busy season. Let's see down here. 2020, look at that. That gave us a historic season, and look at, we are ahead of 2020. Okay, not by the number of named storms, but by the ACE producing. Okay, ACE comes before named storms. It's kind of like thinking about this. Just because, and I'm going to use my YouTube channel as an example, just because I have a lot of subscribers doesn't mean I'm going to get, say, 8 or 10,000 views every video, right? It doesn't mean that. So quality beats quantity is what I'm trying to get at here, okay? Just because we have had 4 named storms, we had 4 at this time too back in 2020, but evidently they were not as long lasting, and nor were they as impactful by this time 3 years ago. And so right now we're about a little almost 3 ACE points ahead of normal from 2020. Okay, and 2020, remember folks, that gave us 30 plus named storms. And I think we're really going to have to watch how July goes, this period in here, and eventually into September. Late August through early October is kind of the grand finale. I shouldn't say grand finale, but kind of ground zero for the busiest portion of the Atlantic hurricane season. And it really will add up by the end of the season how we kind of ended it up being. Did we end up above average or below average is to be seen, but we're ranked 14 out of 73. So we are up there. It's not like we're dead, where our season's not going to be as busy as we think. All right, I'm going to keep my picture kind of hidden here because I wanted to show you all this. So the Atlantic hurricane and tropical storm activity, okay, this is where we're at, okay, kind of mid-July, okay? I'm going to kind of put a line on this. Kind of on the map, you are here. You know those evacuation maps you always see at hotels, at restaurants? You are here, and this is where we're at right now, pretty much here. I mean, come on. It's not supposed to be extremely busy yet. So again, a lot of people tell me that, come on, it's dead already in the Atlantic. Forget about it. This season's going to be dead because of El Nino. Hope is not the thing, okay? Just because it's dead, you hope it stays dead, and it's not going to be very busy. Okay, we already have 4 named storms, so that says it there. Now, we typically see in late July, early August, we see this big ramp up. See this right here? That's what we're going to be seeing by late August into late July into early August. Excuse me there. So it makes perfect sense that, I mean, the Atlantic hurricane season is performing as our expectations right now, okay? We're not seeing anything underperforming or overperforming. It's doing as it's supposed to. But it's once we get into mid-August, that's when we go up. We go straight to the top. And I mean, we go way up here through August or through September 10th and the 11th. That's the typical peak time, meteorological speaking, for the most busy portion of the Atlantic hurricane season. And just for reference, I mean, look at, we're right here, right? If you draw a line all the way across we could see activity possibly into late November. So we have a long time. I mean, come on. We have until December, perhaps, to see tropical storms or hurricanes in the Atlantic. Great example. We had an off-season subtropical system in January in the northwestern Atlantic. Just goes to show you, we can have unnamed or whatnot storms happening outside of the Atlantic hurricane season. So this look at the GFS model, and we're now going to show you with why I think we have a big problem, perhaps over the Caribbean as well, not the Caribbean, over the Bahamas as well as Florida, okay? This is the 850 millibar chart. This is the wind chart, and I'm just going to quickly explain with what this is. So these wind barbs, you can see them kind of blowing off like this, right? They point to where the wind is coming from, and they blow like this. So we can see that the wind here is about 30 knots at 850 millibars. There is our storm well outlined. There's that vorticity. That's the colored chart that you see, the plot that you see, 25 to 35 in terms of how much cyclonic vorticity we have. Spin at 5,000 feet into the atmosphere. And of course, these lines here are your thicknesses. That's kind of outlining where our low-level ridge pattern actually is. Okay, kind of follow me, the perimeters that we're looking for here on the GFS. So when we go forward in time here, we're watching this tropical wave right here. It's that one that we looked at on satellite imagery at the beginning. That's what this is. By day 5, it's not very organized, but also it's pulling in westerly winds, right? We got easterly winds to the north, westerly winds to the south. I mean, this is a very strong tropical wave, okay? Even so it doesn't look strong, it is strong based on what I see. There is Dawn, by the way. Dawn could get more intense. Probably a strong tropical storm could rack up more ace points, so get us more ahead of normal here. Yep, remember we do have that named storm, and that's going to rack up more. By Sunday, by Monday, this is July the 25th, and look at what we got. We have Dawn over here. We have our next named storm down here. Ooh, look what we got too. We might have another system to watch. Now, if I can just look at one GFS model run, that's dumb of me to do. So we're going to look at different forecasts. And yeah, look at, I mean, still a few model runs ago from yesterday, we still had a disturbance there. There's Dawn. There's that system that tries to develop. And then maybe another tropical wave. You can see just how busier it's getting. And so when we go forward, look what we got going on. Dawn kind of tears apart, but by that time we could have another named storm to talk about here to kind of contend with. This is 10 days out. So now I'm not going to go beyond 10 days out for many reasons. Actually, I will, but don't believe anything that you see. That's all I got to say. Two areas to potentially watch in the Atlantic, okay? I mean, I don't know if the GFS is hype casting, if it's doing fantasy land, but it's something to take note of here in the Atlantic. There's that sprawling ridge, well, rather weak ridge. Otherwise, nothing would exist out here. And going forward, I mean, look at that. Got two named storms, one potential tropical system, and look at, we got trouble, double trouble over here. Hitting Florida, if we zoom in on that, yeah, that's at the very end of the model run. I can't believe, we can't trust it, but it's been showing that for 1, 2, and 3 model runs. If we go back, it's been showing something there. So we do have to kind of watch it each and every day. Does it make me want to make more videos every day on this? Probably not yet until the NHC starts talking about it. So now when we take a look at the amount of water, this video is going to end up being 30 minutes. I can't not make my videos any shorter than that, but I guess it's because I love doing what I do. All right, so drier air here on the GFS will continue to be a thing, but again, if you just look at one model, that's the problem, right? We got to look at past model run data, and there is something there, okay? Enough to where And even look at that. In the Gulf of Mexico, 4 model runs ago. Yeah, 4 model runs ago. And here we are right now. So again, we're watching it. Drier air, more of it coming off of Africa, may close off the season temporarily until we get into mid-August. So when we look at the European model, there is Dawn kind of lurking around, just kind of hanging out, might become a stronger tropical storm, and then that kind of gets dissolved into the westerlies. But notice that the European model has nothing out here, but it does have a little bit of that wave. So it is indicating there's one system here, and there's one system over here. It's just about, will the European model kind of get stuck onto the GFS, or will the GFS downtrend and go towards a Euro? We just don't know yet, but I can smell it, folks. I can smell things coming. I think it's going to get busy here. Just take my word on it. By late July into early August, I do think we're going to have a system to contend with. The Canadian model, not really indicating much, but again, that tropical wave right there, kind of the same players on the field. It's just about how strong will they be. The GFS can be accurate more than the Euro at times, so it's to be seen which one kind of goes on to those systems first. All right, folks, that is going to sum it up for this video. My gosh, 30 minutes long. Man, that's too long of a video. But if you guys enjoyed it, please consider sharing, liking, and subscribing. I'll be back with you more maybe tomorrow. It's pretty hot in the office today. Reached 100 yesterday in my office today. Probably going to reach about 98. It's been hot and humid here, so I am terribly sorry that I have not been able to upload for the last few days, probably more than that, but I can't be up here if it's too hot and humid and everything. So I hope you all understand that, and I'm hoping that I am going to get more consistent on my uploads as long as Mother Nature could obey and cooperate with me too. But anyways, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching.